Welcome back to another episode of Unpacking with Jennifer Satel. Like, subscribe, and follow to get the latest updates and the newest releases. Wow! Yes! Hello, guys. I am here today, and I'm very excited to talk to you about a few things. I know that a few things have gone on, and I always like to share because it's just life, right? Life is, sometimes it's crazy and sometimes we just hold on and just pray that we land on our feet sometimes. But I had something super fun happen and then super not fun and then more not fun and then some more fun. Okay. So for Christmas, my mom got David and it started with David, a ticket to go see Mumford at this music festival in Arizona. And she's like, should we do this? And I'm like, we really want to go because Goo Goo Dolls was going to be there as well. And David and I last year wanted to see them just because we wanted to. It was kind of part of our or at least my high school memories. And I mean, MTV, I used to come home and literally race home to watch MTV. And I remember they did a performance where he was in the rain singing. And I was like, so cool. He's in the rain singing. And it didn't rain in Arizona, just so you guys know, but it was actually very warm. So my mom tells me, I don't know what to get David. And I said, you should get him this ticket because Mumford & Son is kind of our thing. It's our... I guess we're groupies. I'm going to say we're groupies. I feel that it's time that I meet Marcus Mumford because I'm over it now, being so close yet not meeting him. But so then I look at my mom so who's going to get my ticket? And she's like, fine, I'll get you guys a ticket. So we went a couple weeks ago and it was the first night was Mumford and Goo Goo Dolls. And so it was on a Friday. And then Saturday was I don't really know, because he's like, should we go the whole weekend to the music festival? Because it was 3 days and we didn't. But the last night was Blink-182. And I was like, I don't really care. I don't really want to go. David just saw Blink-182 less than a year ago. So he's like, I'm okay with not going. So in the meantime, this is how my life works, is I have a client, and one day, this is before the holidays, I'm at her house, and she introduces me to her best friend, and her best friend is really awesome, and she's like, oh my God, you have this great aura about you, this, that, and the other. Come to find out she's a medium, which was kind of cool. But on top of that, she's like, would you come out to Arizona and help me? And I was like, absolutely. So we had kind of gone back and forth for a couple months. Again, during the holidays, it was hard and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, hey, it just so happens that I'm going to go see a concert in, Tempe and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, why don't we piggyback that? So I ended up going for 6 days. David went for 3 nights, and then he left on Sunday, and then I stayed till Wednesday. And then I also had a client that was also going to the music festival. So we met up on Friday, and she's like, I leave her, or she leaves. She goes and sits back with her brother. Her brother had got her tickets for Christmas. So anyways, we meet up with her. I leave. The next morning she texts me. She's like, hey, I'm staying with my best friend. Do you mind before you go to Tucson to just go and work on her garage? And I was like, sure. So I drive an hour. I go to her house. I work on this lady's garage I just meet. And then I go to Tucson and I'm there for 3 days. And the last day I'm there, I feel kind of questionable. I felt okay, but my voice sounded like I smoked 400,000 cigarettes. And by the time I was driving home, which when you don't feel great and you're driving home 8 hours, it was a long drive. And I'm driving, and as I'm driving, I'm like, I definitely have strep throat. Because, I'm a doctor, so I diagnose myself all the time. And I'm driving, and then I have the heater on, and then I have the air conditioner on, and then I have the heater on, and then I have the air conditioner on. And I'm like, please, dear God, just get me home, because I feel like I may curl in the fetal position on the side of the road. And I get home the next day, I wake up, I feel like dog shit. I cancel. I feel like shit, but I don't go to urgent care or whatever. Cause again, I can't swallow. It feels like knives. And I'm always so against going to the doctor. I don't know what it is. It's like, it'll be fine. Like, I don't want to be one of those people that always is like, I better go to the doctor. I should have gone to the freaking doctor. But so I wake up Friday morning. I'm like, I have to go to the doctor. I can't even swallow. Like, I definitely have strep throat. And I get there first thing in the morning, right in the open. And there's like 35 people already there at like 9:05. And I ended up being there about 4 hours, and I did not have strep throat, which I would have bet the farm if I had a farm that I did have strep throat, but I had an upper respiratory infection. So it kind of explained why I sounded like a smoker from 1974. But so that was kind of weird, and just a very long process, a lot of coughing and dying and coughing. And I don't know if you guys have ever had bronchitis, which I've had several times. It's like a cough that like steals your soul. It like, you cough so hard that it feels like you ran a marathon or you like just did 1,000 crunches and like you're dying. And it was just, it's so exhausting. And then, it was just weird. Like, we went to Mumford, we went to the concert, and it was so great. And then, 2 days later, I feel like dog shit. It's like, I swear I always get sick in the weirdest times. But back to the concert. I absolutely love Mumford & Son. I just feel that it just makes us happy. David and I, we could be literally in the middle of like a huge fight, which we really don't get into huge fights, but the second we hear songs from them, like, life is good. There's like roses blooming in the corner and like marshmallows and like gold coins and glitter coming down from the sky. And he just makes me so, Mumford just makes me so happy. And we're singing along and we're all of this. But I realize I just don't like a lot of people. I really, really don't. The way they had this set up, I don't really know. It was at something called like Beach Park. So there's this water where I guess you can rent boats and stuff. Obviously you couldn't do it that weekend, and it was, there was a couple stages on one side, the big one, the big main stage. And then there was like 3 or 4 other little stages. Okay. So as it progressed, we sat there and we watched like 2 groups I honestly had never heard of. One of them, I actually ended up hearing a couple songs that they sang, and I had no idea that they sang those songs. I think they were called Group Love, and one of the songs we knew, but I had no freaking clue who they were. And then there was another group, not a clue, none whatsoever, 0, didn't know. And then Goo Goo Dolls came on, and then Mumford came on. But as obviously it got later, a little bit more people came and saw this group of Group Love. And by the time Goo Goo Dolls came, this area that's like fake grass, and we brought like a little blanket, to stand on or to sit on if we wanted to, which we knew that wasn't going to happen. But everyone just pushes their way in. So literally I could feel people's like, literally this woman's like boobs were against my back. Like, she was that close to me. Like, people's hair, I could feel their hair against like my fucking ear. And I was like, this isn't fun. I don't like this. And you're like, yeah, you're on the ground, and it's general admission, and okay. And we didn't get VIP because that was like $600 for the day. And we got, $400 tickets. And we're standing, and I'm literally like breathing people's breath, and they're touching me, and everybody's mushed in. And I'm like, if there was a fire or if somebody had to go to the bathroom, you're screwed. So then I was like, I am not going to drink anything more because I don't want to have to go to the bathroom. Because how do you get out of this clusterfuck? And then the second Goo Goo Dolls was done, everybody ran over. The other people who weren't there then also ran over. So now there's 17 bazillion more people than there were for Goo Goo Dolls for now waiting for Mumford. And you're just breathing everyone's blech. And people are just pushing, and they're rude, and I'm like, I do love me some Mumford, but man, I just need to win the lottery so then I could just have them come into a very nice venue and just sing for me and David. That's just all I want. Nobody else around, just us. But David was so funny because, he doesn't really say anything. he doesn't comment. I mean, he'll comment on some things. The second we're walking back, we leave the concert, he's like, if I ran this concert, I would have done it so differently. This is what would have happened. I would have had, you had to go this way to go this way. You had to do, I would have had people sit, you wouldn't be able to sit everywhere because people were just like standing. They were standing on our blankets. They actually were like walking over the blankets. There was a one woman sitting down, her and her like husband were sitting on the blanket before they even came out. And people were just like walking over their blanket, like walking over them. I'm like, they're fucking sitting on the ground. They have a blanket. Like, this is supposed to be like an outdoor music festival, and you guys are savages. And then I realized I think I'm just getting older and just like shit fucking annoys me more than it did. I think it always annoyed me, but now I'm not as oblivious to it. I kind of just notice it. Like the thing with the blanket, it's something so insignificant. I would have never sat during the concert. I needed to see my future second husband. But people are just walking over our blanket, stomping on our blanket, tripping over it. And I'm just like, no one cares. No one cares. And I was very disappointed in the human race, but it was fun. We had a good time. We then went to Scottsdale the next day. And I've been, I go to Arizona. I used to go to Arizona a lot. And also I have some friends out there, but this was solely but I never like walked around Scottsdale and stuff. And it's, it's just, I don't know, just, it was fun. It was fine, but it was quick. And then I got sick and then I didn't care. And that's the end of that story. So anyways, that is something that was great. I just love Mumford. I know it sounds so silly, but if they're listening to this, which is a big stretch, I love them so much. And I cannot wait to win the lottery so we can afford to have them do a private concert for us, and I don't have to have somebody's breath and fucking hair and some girl's boobs pressed against my back the entire concert. Could I have moved? I couldn't. I was stuck. And I wanted to scream from at the top of my lungs and be like, can you fucking back up, you fucking fuckface? But I didn't. I thought it though, just so you guys know. I thought it. So that was what we did, and that was super great. And whatever. I love concerts. I feel ever since stupid COVID concerts, it's like kind of getting back in the groove of going back to concerts, and also how astronomical the concert tickets are. They've always, they're always expensive, obviously floor and this and that. But I mean, just like your bare bones, like sitting by Jesus's feet in like row Z of ZZ, row Z, it's like $400, $500, $600. I'm like, that's nuts. I'm not. But anyways, that's enough about that. It's a ramble. I'll always have a ramble of everything. So I did that and then came back to life. I was out of commission for a few days, and then I came back to life, and I get a phone call. I think I've mentioned to you guys, and kind of switching gears and talking a little bit about my business in itsproperplace.com. If you ever need to book a consultation or a service, there's your chance. I partner with a couple of real estate agents. That's kind of where my focus is going forward, is to try to partner with more real estate agents, because everybody's selling houses and, people are getting houses ready. And now, unfortunately people do pass away, parents, grandparents, that type of thing. And it's something that happens. And as we all know, grandparents and parents as well, if they're a little bit older, but they're from the Depression era. Like I've said this a million times, they're from the Depression era. They came from a place where you kept every fucking thing. You kept every butter container. You kept every piece of paper. You kept all of these things. And I do think sometimes when kids, sometimes it's one kid, maybe it's 3 or 4 kids, they get this house that's literally just filled with shit. You don't know what to do. So I partner with a couple of real estate agents and I love it. And so I get this call and basically they're like, can you meet up? And they never explained to me what it is. And I kind of laugh because I'm like, is it because it's so going to be terrible, or there's just not a lot of detail until I see it? So I get there and I meet one of the real estate agents. There's 2 going to be on this house, two real estate agents on this house. And this house is massive. It's a single story, 4,500 square feet, like 6 bedrooms, 5.5 bathrooms, really large. They purchased the house in 1965, and it is in 100% original condition. 100% original condition. And unfortunately, the mom had passed away, I think, a couple years ago, and the dad just passed away within the last month or so. So the kids are, going to sell it. So anyways, we're going to walk in. The real estate agent goes, I'm just letting you know, this is going to be a lot. It's a lot. And I was like, okay, because that kind of stuff just doesn't faze me. I don't really get overwhelmed by it. I'm just so used to going in and just finding a solution of how I can help, whatever the task is, if it's getting it ready for photo shoots or if it's getting it ready because you're getting new furniture, whatever the situation is. So we walk in and it is not good. It's really not good. It's, imagine opening an office door, a decent sized room that it was converted to an office or was the husband's office. He must have been, I don't know exactly what he did. He definitely was into computers. But again, when I say this, I mean from the very first work conference binder I saw in his office was from 1971. He never threw anything away. So I don't know what he did from when they first bought the house maybe, but imagine just floor to ceiling stuff all the way to the top. All the papers, the very first box of papers, which I may include the picture on the description of the podcast if you guys don't believe me, the very first box of any kind of banking or paperwork or statements or whatever it was 1965. Boxes, basically when you buy a case of envelopes, that size boxes, just every year, every bank, everything. So I go in and I do a walkthrough and we kind of laugh. She's like, be careful. Don't lean up against the lead paint. We're like, don't grab the asbestos. It's probably just floating through the air. And we also kind of joked and I say this tongue in cheek because it's but in the office there was this closet door you couldn't get to. Obviously I was going to have to get to it eventually when I started the project, but I'm like, what's in there, dead bodies? And she's like, I mean, we don't know. We're just we have no idea. She's laughing. And I'm like, oh my God. The good news was when I say it's a hoarder house, it is. It's a hoarder house, meaning they just never got rid of anything. It was pretty full of shit. I did the walkthrough, but I did not feel that there was going to be questionably weird dead rats or cockroaches or anything like that. I've had a couple houses where that has happened and it's, you kind of see it right away. This, I did not get that vibe. I just got a vibe of a lot of shit, never threw anything away, paperwork wise, everything. I mean, every fucking thing when you just think about it. And it kind of brought up some things and I thought it'd be interesting to talk about because, people die, parents die. Grandparents die. So we have these houses and, parents felt that you kept everything because their kids are going to want everything. They don't. Just so you know, they do not. So when I walked through this house with the real estate agent, I was like, we kind of walked through each room and every room was, oh my God. She was just like, oh my God, are you so scared? I'm like, no, but it was bad. There was a couple rooms that were floor to ceiling, vaulted ceilings, floor to vaulted ceilings, just top to bottom of shit. They even stacked shelving, metal shelving units on top of desks to then add more depth or more height to the the room and stuff. And it was just fucking nuts. So anyways, so I write out kind of an estimate or a guesstimate of time and obviously getting dumpsters, renting dumpsters and, a couple different things. And I have a couple people that help me, which are lifesavers, to be completely honest with you, on these bigger projects. And so we started this week and I mean, we filled a dumpster, the biggest dumpster, 40-foot dumpster. We filled it in less than 8 hours. And when I say filled it, I mean one of my helpers was literally standing on the top of the pile, like stepping on it to push it down. So when they came, the dumpster was as full as it could be, but also they could lift it and not have shit fall out. I mean, we filled that so fast. On top of that, there is like in the office, and I said, not a huge office, like a normal bedroom, like maybe 10 by 10 or 8 by 8, like not huge. There were 4 massive desks. Like those desks that you got back in the day that are made of like iron and like, I mean, everything is made so well with the 5 drawers. There were 4 desks in there. 4 desks. Like, holy shit. We went into another room. There was 3 desks. There was probably so far, I would say about 8 file cabinets, maybe 4 of the big ones, and then 4 like 2 drawer, maybe 3 drawer. And then just shelves and shelves and envelope boxes and regular boxes of just old paperwork. Like almost more than half of a dumpster filled with just office paperwork. It was fucking bananas. And the kids had already gone through what they wanted. So it was so funny because we're so programmed. Like, I go to people's houses and it's like everything's a treasure. And, the kids are like, we've already gone through it. You can get rid of everything. And there was a couple things they wanted and they had put Post-its on it, like, don't touch this. But there was like all these photos, like family photos and frames and all this. And so I'm like, they said not to keep it, but you feel weird, right? Throwing away pictures. And I like send a text, like, I'm just triple confirming that this is okay to throw out because it is pictures. And they're like, no, these are like quadruplet. Like this is like quadruple pictures. We already have the originals. We're fine. But we almost felt guilty, like we're throwing away like their family stuff, like they don't care. But we wanted to make sure they did care. So we put in 3 days so far, and I think there's another probably 3 days there. But it's just interesting because what comes to my mind is I just think of these scenarios where, you have people that are so attached to stuff. And that's okay. There's always somebody that's very emotional to stuff. There's always somebody, if there's 4 siblings, one of them is very emotional. The rest of them are like vanilla McBeige. Like they'll be like, there's a couple things I want. Maybe there's someone that's a little bit on the fence. Like they don't want to keep the stuff, but and then the other 2 are like, fuck this shit, burn it all, And so it's an interesting dynamic because it seems to be that this one is most of them either took what they wanted and I didn't get to see that kind of, engagement or conversation, but it's just like they just didn't care. And it's so interesting too is I feel like donations, some of these people's houses, I mean, they have original furniture. A lot of these houses, and back then in the, like, let's say the early 80s, maybe 80s and then early 90s, it was big furniture. Oak was huge, right? Everything was oak and these oak cabinets and china cabinets and tables and chairs and this and that. And everything's so different now. So donation places don't take any of that stuff. So you're like, I don't want to just throw it in the fucking landfill, right? You don't want to do that. But at the same time, a lot of people, even if you post it for free, you're not even charging for it. You're like, listen, come and take this shit. I want someone to be able to use it. Please use it. Like I put as much stuff for donation as I could that was worth, putting out. But donation, they don't pick up like big furniture like that because it's almost like obsolete. And it's like, what are you supposed to do with that? And some people don't know. And I have to actually figure it out, I actually was looking up like Habitat for Humanity, and I was like thinking, okay, there's like, 7 desks, 8 desks, there's file cabinets, there's a couple like end tables. There was a fairly brand new couch, and someone was actually picking that up, like for someone that they knew was going to take that couch. So there was a few things they had people coming to take that was good, good stuff, right? Like a good brand new couch, a couple of tables and stuff. But most of the tables, the bed, the dressers, like no one wants that stuff. And I'm like, but it's good stuff. It's like made really, really well. And donation places don't take it. And it's kind of like, I feel like that's like an untapped thing. Now there's a lot of places that are junk removal but they charge you. And I have a guy that I recommend. He's amazing. And I've used him. We've met each other probably about 6 years ago, maybe a little longer. And he's fantastic, but he's not cheap. I mean, he's amazing. He comes in, he'll clean out every single thing in the house. And but he charges money. So sometimes it's $1,500-$1,200 to basically remove your junk, and he's going to go take it to the dump. And it's like, yeah, it's wonderful. It's one thing you don't have to do. But I'm like, there's got to be like a middle ground, because some people can use dressers. Maybe you might be able to use 6 office desks that are the size of like half of a room. I mean, these things are like literally brick houses. And it's so crazy to me. And I was thinking about it yesterday because we were bringing some of the furniture out, and I had David come and help me because he has all the stuff to help move the furniture, dollies and carpet dollies and, stuff like that. So he was able to help me get some of this furniture out of the rooms. And I'm just like, they're just going to go into the landfill because that's all you can do is put it in the dumpster. And I don't really want to do that. And it's not even my shit. And people are like, oh, I know you just come in. They always think that I'm just going to come in and, you have to get rid of everything. That's not the case. If you don't need it, I'd like to give it to somebody who can use it, and help their life a little better, a couple dressers, But Habitat for Humanity, going back to that, I haven't done it yet, but they charge $50. And I have no issue paying $50 because their time, obviously they have a truck, come. But I'm like, I don't know, do they guarantee taking all that stuff? That's the furniture. That's the part that it's like, well, am I paying $50? It's not a ton of money. It's not my money. But it's like, are you going to take all this shit? Because if you're going to take it and you can have someone clean it up and give it to somebody, please, by all means, it's worth, its weight in gold. But I don't know what they do. They don't explain, we will take everything. So it's something that I have to kind of educate myself on, because I feel like, what are these people supposed to do? I'm pretty resourceful and I've been doing this a while. But some of these people come in, they get this house and they just want to get rid of everything and they don't know what to do with it. So they're like, now what? And that's kind of how a lot of things in life are. It's like, oh, you know what to do. But then it's like, and then now what? And then nobody has an answer. And I want to have those answers because it's like, it's important. It's also your parents' stuff. It's memories. It's, whatever. I don't feel that furniture to me is a memory. I don't feel that having a china cabinet is a memory. I don't care. What I care about are pictures, moments, books. There are some books that I care about because maybe they remind me of something, but mine is really pictures. I just feel that that's so important. Some people care about all the furniture and all the stuff. I just don't have that in me, but I know people do. So it's like, I'm trying to figure out between yesterday and today, like, how can I change the dynamic? Because all the donation places are like, nope. Or if you have a donation pickup, here's another thing. If you have a donation pickup, sometimes you'll confirm. And then like on Friday, I had a donation pickup for this house and I confirmed the pickup and we got there on Saturday morning and the donation was still there. So that means they either saw it and didn't take it, or I don't fucking know. So with that being said, I'm like, what are you supposed to do? Like, you can't just leave stuff like, I don't know, like whatever. Oh, whatever. Some of these people are older and they're trying to help clear out their parents' stuff, which is already emotional, and then they don't know what the fuck to do. And another thing is, see, I can just talk because now it's just like all coming out. A lot of times if you have a donation pickup, you schedule a pickup with like Rescue Mission or Paralyzed Vets or whatever, which are fantastic organizations. And honestly, I use them probably every week to some degree, if not more. But the caveat to that is there's usually only one guy in the truck. So you're a little limited too, is they take a lot of stuff, but he has to be able to carry it. So they'll say like, oh, you can't have over like 50 pounds or whatever, like an end table or whatever, like furniture, nothing more than 50 pounds. But it's like, okay, then can you have 2 drivers come? Because I mean, you guys can use this stuff. I mean, I see what they do. Some of these donation places like Salvation Army, they are the Salvation Army I go to in Canoga Park. It's a rehabilitation center. They hire people that are like drug and alcohol addicts that have cleaned up, and they try to give them a job there. And then they try to help them. They have like housing on the facility, like little, rooms or apartments or whatever. I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm like, they do good. And it's like, I feel like just throwing it in the dumpster or throw it in the the dump or whatever is just like, that's not necessary. So I need to work some magic and figure out the solution to like helping some of this stuff. I mean, yeah, it's 60 years old, but those dressers are made like they look brand new. And they're made really well. They're not like the freaking plywood, pressed wood fucking dressers that you get now that half the time there's a weird space in it. These are like made, like legit made dressers. You could probably throw it up in the air and it'll land and nothing will happen. You sneeze on one of the dressers now and they fall apart. Literally, the bottom of the drawer will fall apart. So yeah, it's just interesting to see that. And also I just, I think differently. I also think about like, one of the things I'll be completely honest, I thought was, how could they not have ever thrown anything away in this house? Like, that makes no fucking sense to me. Like, and I'm not talking like organizing with bins and labels. No one cares about that. That's not a bin and label situation. But having your bank statements and papers from 1965, why? Well, you mean to tell me nobody ever threw anything away? That is crazy. Absolutely crazy. I barely keep any statements. The only thing I keep are when I get to the end of the year, like your taxes for 2020, the year that before, I'll keep that one paper. That's it. What the fuck? You're keeping 60 years of papers. You know how much papers are? And he was like a computer wizard. So he had like 30, 40 computers. I mean, Texas Instrument, like the first like Commodore, whatever. I mean, everything. I took pictures of all this stuff. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of electrical cords in every single room. Hundreds and hundreds of pieces of electronics and whatever he did and whatever computer programs he did. He kept every binder of every conference he went to, every statement, everything. I'm like, no one ever wanted to clean this shit out? Like, the house is massive. It's 4,500 square feet, single story. That's pretty large. And it's kind of like a maze. And when you walk up, you would never think it was that big, but it kind of just keeps going. It's very wide. The house is very wide. And I'm like, every room was like that. Every room was like that. And sometimes I just, like, my mind is just blown. I'm like, if you yell fire, I go back to that. If you yell fire, no one is taking this shit. So why do you have it in your house? I'm not saying you can't have stuff. What the frig do you need 60 years of fucking bank statements? No one needs that. Okay, guys? I know it's hard. No one needs that. Other things that I've mentioned before, and I will mention it again just because I'm in the vortex right now of this huge project, on top of many other projects that I'm working on, is, the china cabinets and the china, and then you get the china, passed down from your parents or your grandparents, and now you're looking at like 3 sets of china. No one uses china. And if they do, it's probably at Thanksgiving or the holiday time. So you have a set of 30 times 3 sets now because you have your own from your wedding 25 years ago when china was a big thing. Then you have your parents' china and maybe now your grandparents' china. What are you doing with all of this? No one is using this. And it just seems so sad because back then people like set up the tables and did all these linens and all these famous things and now you're using like plastic Target plates or paper plates. And it's okay. And guess what? I'm guilty of it too. You know why? Because it's less dishes you have to do. I'm not going to tell a lie. It really is. It's less dishes than you have to do. And anyway, so going through this and it just kind of like, and they're so appreciative. I give them updates the last, every time when I leave, I kind of give them a couple pictures, updates on where we're at and how much progress we've made, which we did really, really good yesterday and kind of, really, really got a lot done, especially getting that furniture out. And they're so appreciative, but I'm like, it's just so much clutter. I keep always going back to the clutter in your head. Like, how do you walk in a room and it's floor to ceiling solid shit and be like, I'm not ever going to deal with this forever until I die. Literally until I die. Like, I don't know. I would never do that to Charlotte. People who have multiple kids, they don't want this. They don't want to have to go through that stuff. They want to know the stuff that's super important, like pictures, or, obviously there's going to be some other stuff, necklaces or jewelry or something that was like your mom's that was so special. But like that kind of stuff, they're going to haunt you in your next life. That's what they're going to do. They're going to come in, swoop in. If you're in heaven, they're going to come on there, they're going to knock on the door, and they're going to flip you off. They're going to be like, don't leave me those papers again. We laugh about it. It's funny, it's kind of make it tongue in cheek, but no one wants this stuff. It's parents feel like they need to leave all this shit to their kids. And I can tell you of every single client I've had in the last 10 years, which is a pretty good amount, not one client, not one high school kid is maybe in their junior or senior year when they're like, I have this bin of stuff for you, like all your schoolwork. They're like, why would I want that? I don't care. I don't want that. So it's like we're keeping it for ourselves because we think they'll want it. Now, I do think that every kid should have a bin of their work. Charlotte has a bin of her artwork and her schoolwork, or her school projects, not so much her work, like her day-to-day, like workbook activity crap I don't care about. And I told her, I don't care about this. I'm not keeping it. But if you do something extraordinary or you wrote something amazing, your writing is so beautiful, I'm going to keep that. But again, it's going to be one bin. That's it. One bin. No more. So I'll keep you guys updated on how it goes, but we're on the downhill, and the real estate agents are so appreciative. And it was funny because the one real estate agent said to me, she goes, she texts like, how is it going? And I was like, oh, it's going good. And she goes, did you ever get in that closet in the office? And I go, yeah. The good news is there was no dead bodies. And then the other real estate agent who hadn't said anything, he's like, there's still more house. There's still more time. And it's kind of funny. Not that there's dead bodies there, but it's just, you just associate like hoarder stuff with like, what are you going to find? And it's just crazy. I don't know. And then you also have another area that's kind of crazy is when we were getting ready to leave, we had put out a lot of the furniture. My husband had put out the furniture, and I was going to take a picture and just be like, free pickup, tomorrow or whatever. And people like, can you hold this? Can you get this? Then people were driving by and then like getting out and like going through the stuff. And I'm like, I would never do that. This was before I even posted. Before I just took a picture, but people were driving by and you're like, oh, you guys moving? What's going on? Do you guys have any tools? Do you have any plants? Do you have any this? Go away. Go away. Please leave. First of all, no, I think it's weird. I would never go up to someone's house and just, without any kind of yard sale or anything going on, just be like, hey, do you guys have any plants? Hey, do you have any of this? I would never ask that. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I just would never ask that. And it probably is me, but I just laugh because I'm like, I would never be like, do you have any tools in the garage that the door's closed in the garage? Can you open it for me so I can look at your tools and pick off like a vulture? No, you can't. You can't look at the tools. Not today. And they're not even my tools. And I felt like almost like I was saving a life by not letting someone pick at his stuff. I mean, geez, so crazy. I don't know. Just weird how people's mind works. And when you say free, it's like, why are you asking me 50 questions? Drive by the house and go look. If you don't like it, don't take anything. If you see a dresser or end table or a couple file cabinets you want, by all means, take it, as long as you can get it in your car. Why are you asking me, can you save this dresser for me? No, I cannot. This is not my house. Go away. Which sounds rude, but it's like, my brain doesn't have time for all of that. It's free. It's free. If we were charging for it, I could understand, but it is free. So on that note, I have that project is probably going to be another couple weeks until they list it, and they're going to end up gutting that house completely and probably starting from scratch. And it's probably going to be who knows how much, over $1 million easily. And we brought it in 1965. I have no clue how much it was, but I'm guessing, I'm going to say on the high end, $30,000. And I think about like you pay property tax on when you bought the house and they've never moved in 60 years. He's probably paying like $100 a year for property tax. Like, that's insanity. This house is massive. It is massive. And you're just like, yeah, I bought it, 4,000 years ago and I'm paying like in hugs. It's so great. It's almost like you feel like you should keep the house and just remodel it. But I know they probably, don't want to have one added thing. The kids probably don't. But it's actually a cool house when it is upgraded. It will have to be completely gutted. Okay, so that was that. And that's a long-winded story but people die. People's houses get sold, people have to downsize, or people have to help their parents get into maybe a smaller place, or now that the kids are gone or whatever. And these are things that happen, and it is part of day to day, and it's part of life. And, I never want to think about my mom ever leaving this earth. I never want to think about it. But sadly, I know it will happen. I pray it never happens. I never want to even think about it. Like sometimes she'll talk to me about something. I'm like, I'm not talking to you about this right now. So, I mean, it's just, but it happens. It's part of life. And, it's easy for me to be on the outside helping, but I just feel so thankful that they asked me to help. And also they seem very appreciative on how I have all these systems in place and everybody had a role, and here we go. And what was really heartbreaking, though, I'm going to say one last thing about this house, is they have a beautiful husky. He's older, and he's beautiful, but he's the coloring where it's like the tan husky with like the white and the gorgeous eyes and that whole thing. And he's just so sad because I guess the dad had just died like maybe a month and a half ago. And he sits by either his bedroom door or his office, and he just lays there all day. So the 3 days that I was there, he was just laying everywhere I was, like he was laying right by the door, and just so sad. And you just feel so bad for dogs because they don't understand. The daughter's going to take the dog. She's not getting rid of the dog, but the dog has no idea what's going on. He's a little bit older, so he's been around for a while in terms of the house and the routine and, being by his owner. And then now his owner's not there, and all these furniture is moving and all this trash is being taken out and everything's changing. And he's just laying there and he's crying. He's like whining and crying. And it's actually really heartbreaking because he has no idea what's happening. And we don't think about stuff like that sometimes, about the animals. And this dog is so good. Oh my gosh. I literally walked in the house when I did the consultation, and he just started licking my feet. I was like, this is the most amazing greeting I've ever had in my life. And I hate feet, by the way. So it just makes it even better. But yeah, it's just, this is the stuff I'm talking about. Like when I say you can relate, we can relate to this kind of stuff. We can relate to things that happen, and we don't want to think about certain things, and we pretend like everything is fine. Parents get sick, and parents, have stuff, and they love to hang on to stuff. And it was that generation too. So it's like, I look at it and I go, God, why do these people never throw anything away? And I'm like, well, that's the generation they were in, though. You didn't. You kept everything. And on that note, I'm going to say, I'm done talking about that house, but I will keep you updated. And, people are already asking too, like, how much is it? I'm like, I don't know how much they're going to sell it for, but it's going to be completely gutted. It's probably filled with asbestos and lead paint and freaking popcorn ceiling everywhere. So no one wants that. Yeah. So also another thing I'm working on too is I have this client, and I really adore her. She's amazing. She's such a nice person. And it's so funny because she always, when I go to help her, she'll always be like, I thought about what we're going to have for lunch today. I know you like this salad, and I'm going to order it at 12 o'clock. And, and I'm just like, oh, thank you. You don't have to. I never eat when I'm working. I never get to sit down. I never sit down. I'm always just like, go, go, go. But she is like, I work so fast and she works so slow, and she'll want to book all these days with me. So like for this month, she booked like 8 days. And then I already know after 2 days, she's going to cancel 3 of those days right out of the gate, because I just get everything ready for her. I separate it. I put it in order so she can go through it. And she has to go through everything with like a fine tooth comb. And then she's like, oh, there's so much to do. I didn't get to do anything. I didn't get to do my homework. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. And so she already canceled like 3 of the days. And I'm like, I already know, it's okay. And then she's like, I just wish I could just work like you and just not think about, just do, like, go through it really quick. You go through things really quick. I'm like, I don't at my house. I mean, I take time to go through stuff, but she goes through every piece of paper, everything, every candle. She had like, I don't know, probably like 500 candles. And I said to her, half of them are like those tapered candles that you put in like candlestick holders. And she had, they were like halfway gone. And I said, oh, there's a whole box of ones that are like halfway gone. Probably just get rid of those and throw them away. She's like, oh, no. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go through them, and then I'm going to decide if I'm going to give them to the church. Sometimes all of those steps is more work for you to do. I'm not saying not to donate it, but just have a donation pickup come and just put it out there. They'll take it and figure it out. But she will drive to like Altadena, Pasadena to don't drop off a donation of like sheets. And then she'll drive over to this place to drop off whatever. And I'm like, this is so much work for you. And you're already like, I don't have good time management. And I'm like, do you want me to take the donations? No. I'll take them. Because that's one of the things I offer as services, mostly for the fact that people don't want to do it. And they won't do it. And I'll come back 6 months later and you'll see the 12 trash bags that we went through in the garage. And I'm like, I'll just take these now. Oh, that would be great. Or I'll leave the stuff and then they'll say, oh, no, we'll take it. And then they'll end up going through stuff and putting stuff back in the house that they wanted to donate because it's been sitting there for 4 months. And they're like, well, I actually could use that now. And so I always try to help. And then she makes all these projects and, oh, I'm going to call up these schools and see if they need any art supplies. Why? Why are you doing that? But that's just how her brain works. And I've tried a million different ways to get through to her, like, you don't need to do that. And she doesn't listen, and I don't take it personal, you know? But sometimes the buy nothing groups and the give it for free, posting it for free, or the this and that, it's like 27 more steps of stuff you don't even have time to do. So those are little things that I notice, and those are things that I just try to help you with, because sometimes it's not just beautiful bins and wonderful labels and amazing closets and, you know, custom this and custom that. Sometimes it's just shit and you're trying to shine the shit and make it look good. And I try my best to help you stay organized in a way that works for you, not for me. And also, you know, make it look the best that I can and be smart with the space you have. You know, people have 4,500 square feet houses and people have 450 square foot houses. So doesn't matter. It does not matter. It's a matter of how can I help and be kind of realistic of like, what are you doing? So one more thing I want to talk about, it's not necessarily about this house that we're kind of beat to death when I talk about it. But one of the things I noticed, and a lot of people have this in this generation, endless books. Okay, when I say endless books, I'm talking endless books, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books. Now, a lot of them, in this case, there was probably, 500 paperback soft, like the small paperback books. And then just every book. You just bought every book. And I love to read and I love books. I love the tangibility of books. I'm more of a audiobook now because I drive a lot and it's easier for me to be able to get the enjoyment of a book without having to like stop what I'm doing. But donating books, that's another thing I wanted to mention, because parents have books. A lot of people have books. Grandparents have books. I've mentioned this before. Most of my clients are Jewish. And I know that is not, but they have so many books. And then a lot of them are in Hebrew, and a lot of them are, a whole section of Hebrew books that are floor to ceiling bookcases of that. And it's like, I want to make sure that those are going to the right place. So I have located, Jewish women's centers of, for book donations and all these different things. Like I take the time to do that so that people know that their stuff is going to be treasured, because people still love books. But man, this house had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books. The other thing that blew my mind like kablooey was they had probably mostly Costco boxes. You know, when you go to Costco and you put your stuff in the cart and then they hand you one of those boxes that was maybe like lettuce or something, and you take that box and you put your shit in there. Imagine hundreds of these of VHS tapes. They taped everything. They taped every show. They taped every news thing. They taped everything. Then there must have been a switch where they started to do it on discs. So it'd be every episode of, Law and Order or whatever, right? And, Law and Order is still on, I think. It's like on season 472. So you can imagine, like, oh my God. Literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Now that stuff, the discs and the, VHS, just chuck them. But the books, I'm like, I try to find places that will take these books, because a lot of the regular donation places, Joe Schmo's donation station does not take all these books. They'll take like a box of books, people have like encyclopedias and this and that. They don't take any of that shit. So I really try to help find that. And I just know that there are resources and there are places, and some of them, end up maybe not panning out, or they won't take all of them. But it's not just going into the vortex of the recycle bin or the dump. But yeah, that blew my mind. I mean, so many books. Just like crazy. Anyways, so what I say to the whole thing of this ramble, and when I say ramble, I love to tell you guys stories that happen, especially in the organizing world, because it gets me excited, and I do enjoy helping people, like I've mentioned before, but I try to take it like it's mine. I went into that house, even though it was a lot of shit, I went in there and I wasn't just being like, this is crazy, fuck this, whatever. I go in there, like I took the time to realize that there were photos there, and I took the time to realize, hey, there looks like there's some really cool, like, kind of like maybe for Shabbat or, Hanukkah or something, some really cool dishes. I wasn't sure if they saw them, so I put them aside so when they do come back to the house, they know, because I see stuff and I know stuff, and they may not want it, and that's okay, but I'm not just like lighting a match and just saying burn to the ground. I do put the effort in, and I do want to make it so it's as, transitional as, their parents died. That's terrible. It's very terrible. And, it's a hard time. You don't want to have to think about that kind of stuff. So I kind of do the thinking for you. And I think we can all relate to that. And with all of that being said, with telling you my love for Mumford and Son, and telling you for my love for organizing, and also knowing that I do kind of, take all these projects on as something a little personal. I don't just go in there like a robot. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, following. How do you know if there's a new episode? You have to do just that. You have to like, subscribe, and follow. You also, comments, suggestions, anything you love, any questions you have, please reach out. And I look forward to talking to you next time. Thank you. That's a wrap on today's episode of Unpacking with Jennifer. I hope you're walking away with a little inspiration and a few practical tips to make life at home just a little bit easier. If you love the episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a new one. And if you found it helpful, I'd love if you left a quick review. It helps more moms like us find the show. This episode was engineered by Robert Altschuler. Music by Coldfire. Recorded and mixed at Command Recording Studios.